We try to create experiences for our customers and our consumers. But there are times in our lives where experiences are created for us.
Hey, dog.
Hey, Elise, how are you?
You think about the major events in our lives, there's always an amazing food experience tied to it.
Good morning.
It's what brings people together. And that's where people get to share their beliefs about who they are and what they stand for. There are neighbors, there are friends, different cities, different communities.
You know, when we come together, we can make a better world.
A whirlwind of a person who's not going to take no for an answer.
There was only one greatest generation, and, I admire those guys so much.
I was truly amazed at how kind the world could be.
These are stories that absolutely have to be told.
I think it's something that we really need.
It's about what we can do for others. That's powerful.
Hello, everyone. I'm told we have an audience from around the globe, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever your time zone, and welcome to the first ever Hormel Film Festival. Over the next few days, we're going to meet some truly inspiring people who make a difference in their community and the greater world. All of these stories came to us either through a phone call or an email or a letter, and our connections with these people were both immediate and lasting. And I'm sure you'll see why after you hear their stories. These heroes range in age from 12 to 101 and show us that it is possible to thrive against incredible odds. I'm joined by Ethan Waters, an award-winning writer who has been involved with several of the stories you're going to hear this week. Ethan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Scott. Really excited to be here all this week to roll out this really one-of-a-kind film festival.
Great, and we're glad to have you. We have two films for you today, and they both are about young people with autism. Our first film, the one that started it all, was inspired by a simple letter from a mom about her son who has superhero powers.
Dear folks at SPAM, I have attached photos of my sweet and awesome little boy, Jackson. Jackson has a superpower, and that superpower is called autism. His superpower is so special that he will only eat very super and specific foods. The best of the best is Spam and only Spam.
So, superhero needs his own superhero cape as well. What do you think of that?
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack is always a good time for Spam. He has now learned to fry it himself because he says he knows how to fry it to perfection. As you can see from the photos, our little 4th of July cookout, where everyone is having burgers except for Jackson, he is grilling his Spam single. I just thought I would share this little bit about Jackson and thank you for creating something that my guy will actually eat and loves. I wish you could see and hear him as he watches me put cans of Spam and the Spam singles into the shopping cart. He yells Spam almost every time. Anyway, thanks again and keep on making it. A superhero depends on it.
I love Spam. It's delicious.
What a great story. We are super excited to have Jackson and his mom, Tiffany, with us today. Welcome, Jackson and Tiffany.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Jackson, I don't have a cape, but I did wear my favorite Got Spam t-shirt in your honor today. So welcome to our worldwide first ever Hormel Film Festival. Jackson was our very first inspired fan, and we continue to stay in touch with him and his family over the past years and since, frankly, the day we first met them. We're also joined today by Brian Lillis, who is our Spam brand manager, who was a very big part of this story. And we have a few other special guests that will be joining us, so stay tuned.
Tiffany, I'm curious what you expected when you contacted Hormel about your son.
Really, I didn't expect anything. I just wanted to get his story out. He was frying Spam on the grill for 4th of July, and I just felt like Hormel just needed to know about him, and I had no idea that that letter would go as far as it has.
Jackson, what was it like to see yourself on the screen? You're a star now.
It was amazing.
That's good.
And Brian, I'm curious, what it's like to be at Hormel and to get connections with fans like this one. What does it mean?
It's pretty amazing, Ethan. I can remember back to hearing the story that Tiffany had written to us about Jackson and thinking there are probably hundreds of thousands of fans just like this all around the world. But how do we make sure that we can make and highlight somebody that's so unique like Jackson? How can we find a way to tell this story and have him be a representative of Spam fans everywhere? And the fact that Jackson does such a great job, not only being able to talk about Spam, but the way that he fries it up, the way that he eats it, the way that he shares it, is truly remarkable. And it would be great if 8 billion people around the world were just like Jackson and ate Spam like he does. I would be happy for sure.
Jackson, I'm curious. We know you love Spam, but how do you know when it's fried just right? What's the secret?
I don't know.
Do you like it crispy or do you like it a little limp?
No, it has to be crispy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also wonder, if there's any message, that you would give to some of the kids that are at home right now that school's canceled for most kids around our country. If you have any special message for them, or if there's anybody special you want to say hello to today.
Well, my message is just stay home, spend time with your family, and eat Spam.
Perfect. That's good.
Say hi to anybody?
I want to say hello to my friends and teachers at the Phoenix School of Discovery.
Well, I'm sure they're watching and saying hello back to you right now.
So Jackson and Tiffany are going to stay with us for this next film and the discussion afterwards because we have a second film about autism, and this one is about autism in Austin, Minnesota. 10 years ago, a journey began in Austin to make the community an autism-friendly community. And that was partly thanks to the support of the Hormel Foundation, Hormel Foods, some very dedicated parents, and some very special kids. So please enjoy this next short film, and we'll be right back after this to have a discussion with all the panel.
I want to introduce you. This is Holly.
Hello,
Holly Johnson,
everyone.
the executive director of the Hormel Historic Home, my right-hand man, partner in crime.
What we're doing tonight is we're offering a sensory-friendly activity for those who benefit from a more controlled environment in the chaos of the holidays. And then we do have Mary Barrica, who is the face of all of our programming.
I think that was the hit of the night.
Mary really takes it out to reach the community.
I didn't even know what autism was when I first started on this journey. Having a child with autism, the Hormel Historic Home, they came to me and said, are there opportunities for your daughter in the community? And there really weren't. Everything was in Minneapolis, or at least 100 miles away. They wanted to come up with some autism programming and outreach, and they approached me would you be willing to spearhead a project? And I said, absolutely, I would love to do that. And I hung up the phone, and that's kind of how it all started. We started an initiative in 2017 called Autism-Friendly Austin. And it's really my priority now to go out into community organizations and businesses to educate them on what autism is and how we can be more welcoming and understanding and supportive to not only customers that may be on the autism spectrum, but employees. So I felt an obligation to share and help other people. Give that a squeeze. Not only my own needs for my own child and our family, but a lot of families. Certificate of Designation, Style Lounge Salon, has committed to being autism-friendly, sensory sensitive, and family welcoming. All right. Here you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations, ma'am. Okay. All right. Thank you, my dear. I was introduced to Sarah by a mutual friend early on in my autism journey. Meg was 2, Samuel was 3 at the time. It was so nice for me to have found someone that I could talk to and that had walked the walk and understood.
When Samuel was diagnosed, do you think, I can't do this? I didn't pray for a special needs child. That's for somebody else. I am not strong enough for this. And you're in the country, so you're even more isolated. Mary and I have been there together. It's that programming that's kept him on track. Places where they can go and feel like this is my place in the community. We were always looking for jobs for Samuel, and we were kind of stalling out. He does not like manual labor, and he's always loved Spam.
So Mary Barinka approached the Spam Museum about becoming an autism-friendly place. She is able to bring to us a certain number of tools that really helps to promote a safe space for people, not just with autism, but with sensory disorders, sensory awareness issues. So we were able to bring Samuel to the museum to help him develop his skills for his future endeavors in the work environment.
Hey, Samuel, how's it going? Hey, how's it going, Steve?
I remember Samuel trying to greet someone at the door or trying to even talk to someone for a minute in the span, a minute. That's where we started. We started with, all right, let's focus on this for a minute.
Hello, first time here?
Yep.
Oh, welcome to the Spam Museum.
These are total strangers, and you have to get over your shyness and be warm, embracing, and welcoming while giving them a whole linguistic entrance into the museum with all that they have to see and hear.
Have fun and have a spamtastic day.
Thanks.
Samuel at the Spam Museum, he's the result of a community really coming together.
Amy, I love Spam Benson.
This is a culmination of many years. It tells you different people are welcome here.
So Samuel, you have been a Spam ambassador now for 3 years. 3 years ago, where we could hardly get you out to talk to people. And you were a wreck, and now here you are leading tours around the museum and having such a comfort level with talking to people and really being who you are. So we have gotten you something, and it just showcases how much we appreciate all that you've done for us.
Oh! That is awesome! Spaniel!
Spaniel shirt.
There's so much to be hopeful for and to look forward to. And there's myself and a large community out here waiting to embrace you and make that happen for you and your family.
You let us know if you do. We also have his mom, Sarah. Saville Lord, who is the manager of the Spam Museum, Steve Nordrum, who is a Spam ambassador at the Spam Museum, and Mary Barinka, who leads the Autism-Friendly Austin, all joining us today. So thank you all for being here and for participating in our film festival.
Thank you.
So Samuel and Sarah, I've got a question. What's it like to have your story told and be seen by thousands of people across the world?
Well, it's quite unique, really. Well, 20 years ago, nobody had heard of autism, and now everybody's heard of it. And not just because of me, but this is just another chapter for people to hear about autism and know about autism and that kind of thing. And I couldn't have gotten this far without my mother and Mary and my father and all that. So, and my sister, she's been a big driving force, as well as my whole family really has been a whole big driving force in my life. So thank you to all of them, really, and to you guys too at Hormel. It's really not, I couldn't have gotten here without you guys either. So anyway.
Steve, I know you are and have been an instrumental part in Samuel's experience at the museum. And you were even, part of the presentation we just saw, and you helped him. I'm sure you probably came up with the Spamuel shirt. So what has it been like for you to be part of this experience and to work with Samuel throughout this journey?
It's certainly been very rewarding, and just to see him as a young man develop and really kind of shine. From the day I met him, I always knew it was there. In fact, I saw a lot of Samuel in myself. Some people might call autism something that's a special need. I would say that Samuel has that special power, and once we turned it on, there's no turning it off. And that's where I see myself just like him. When you get into the Spam Museum and start talking to either one of us, try to get us to stop talking to you about spam. So I guess I identified a lot with him, and at the same time, just very, very rewarding to see kind of where he's come at this point in time. And then the other thing, just I was telling him, not only is he Samuel, but he's world famous. As we get people to come to the Spam Museum and ask for him to give them tours because they heard about his story. So all of that to me is just very rewarding.
That's great. So both of you, what's your favorite Spample variety when you're working?
That's a hard one. I'd have to say either. Oh man, this is hard. Probably the classic or the what's the other one? The light is another good one for mine. But I really can't pick between more than one. Or more than less than. I can't pick just one. It has to be more than one.
Yeah, let me answer for Samuel. He can't have just one Spample either. He always has to eat a bunch. We have to kind of rein him in sometimes. So I've never seen a Spample he didn't like. My favorite is probably black pepper. I like to start the Spam Museum with bacon Spamples in the morning and then transition to black pepper later on in the day.
Tiffany,
all right, well, if you see me come in, get the Spam and cheese ready to go, because that's my favorite.
All right.
Tiffany, does Jackson have a favorite
So Mary.
Spam?
Classic.
Classic only.
Always. And sometimes the bacon, but usually it has but usually it's classic.
So Mary and Sarah, you guys went through this revelation of dealing with autism kind of in real time together. You were friends and learned about it together at the very beginning, and you've helped with this remarkable evolution in the community of Austin. Could you talk about sort of the evolution of a parent becoming an advocate and then reaching out to the resources and then second, and how you all did that?
One step at a time. Mary and I, we like to say we were the long and the short of it. We, I believe, are both gifted and talented in very different areas, and come from
different backgrounds, and we complement each other. And I, having a boy, and Mary having a girl, were able to navigate different areas. And we learned early on, no one's going to love your child the way a parent does. And you learn some things in the beginning that maybe you would do differently later in time. And maybe in the beginning, I burned some bridges and I was harsh and judgmental. But then you learn down the road, not everyone can do this walk the same. And so you learn you're a parent first, and a child is a child. And whether you have a typical child or a child with disabilities, they're a child first, and every child is different. And whether you had a special needs child or a typical child, they're all different children. And you need to be a parent first, and then you need to do what's best for that parent or child. And not every parent can champion for their child for many different reasons. So Mary and I banded together and did the best we could for our children. And if it could benefit children along the way, then we did. And when it got to the point where I no longer could be the champion for the community, Mary stepped in and did what she does better than anyone. And she is small, but she is mighty. And she does it with a finesse. And it's not a sword. And she can bring people together like no other. And I'm so thankful for what she has done in our community, because to be known as a community that is autism friendly is something, as you said, it's not known anywhere. And as Samuel said, 20 years ago, they didn't know what autism was. And I remember a time in our community, I was giving heavy pressure to Samuel on the floor in the grocery store, because that's what he needed, was sensory. And a woman walking by and saying, "Oh, that's naughty. You got your hands full there." And it's not like you can just hand out your card to someone and say, "Oh, we're having a meltdown." You do what you need to do, just as any parent would do. And now everyone knows the word of autism. They know what it is. They smile and they help you. It's wonderful. And that's why people move here. And that's why I'm thankful to Hormel, because it's a company, but it's more than that. It's a family, and it's a microcosm.
Sorry, Barry, talk about all the forces you brought together over time to make this
Well, we are fortunate in this community that there is closeness. People know each other. There's close connections. And I started out advocating for my own child, educating myself, really becoming involved with her education in the public school system, and found what was working for her and wanted that for more kids. And I knew what it took from me, and I knew that a lot of other families didn't know how to navigate that. And it was a perfect storm back in 2009 when the Hormel Historic Home was expanding, and a very generous donor, philanthropist in the community, Pat and Gary Ray, came to me with the idea of starting some programming for kids with autism. And I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had the skill set and the passion. And we started with a small donation from them. And we started with one camp during the summer for a limited age group. And fast forward 10 years to now, we have a variety of programming services. And in 2017, we were to the point where we had helped families and youth. We had helped parents. We had a program in the schools called Peer Power Partners that educated peers, because that's critical, in becoming included in the community and understood. There's many layers that need this education. So in 2017, we thought, we've come this far, what is the logical next step? And the volunteer group at the Hormel Historic Home said, let's go to the community. There are just a handful at the time. There were a handful of autism-friendly locations. We came up with our own criteria that we would require, very minimal. And at that point, then they hired me to go out and take the leadership on that initiative. And it just made sense by the time we got that far. And the community has been extremely receptive.
Some have a personal connection to autism. Some see the benefit of understanding it more. And it's really, once you understand the neurology, the autism neurology, it's really pretty easy to make those minor accommodations and modifications to make people with autism more comfortable. But not only people with autism, everybody, like Saville said in the film, people with these sensory issues, the elderly, dementia, anyone who is different, you can make minor accommodations and be more inclusive and broaden your diversity of your customers and your employees.
How many businesses do you currently have that have gotten the certificate?
35 so far. And
35.
we kind of have been stopped, obviously lately because of the COVID crisis, but I have one scheduled on Zoom for Wednesday at a facility that deals with youth in the community. So, and then that's really the actual certification process is in the last 3 years. So we've been doing about 10 places a year.
And these aren't just shops. These are really critical services. They're dentist office, doctor's office.
Right.
Hair salons.
And the fire department is a certified location. I've been to Hormel recruiting and HR, the spam museum staff. And it all dovetails together, because you could have a customer coming in, you could have like when I gave a presentation at a dentist's office, we were a little bit delayed getting in there because the procedure that was taking place prior to my presentation went a little bit longer. So I had a nice chat with the nurse, and she personally was concerned about her grandson showing symptoms of autism. So I was able to give her resources during this, break before the actual presentation of how she might pursue that from a grandmother's perspective, how to help this young toddler get the services that he needed. So it all dovetails together. And the more we get the word out and increase knowledge and understanding, a difference we're making in our community overall. So it's more welcoming, it's more understanding.
It's about education.
Mm-hmm. And when we take the kids that are in our camps, part of the camps that the Hormel Historic Home offers, they take the kids with autism out into the community. So, to visit the Spam Museum, to visit the Tender Maid restaurant, to visit Steve's Pizza. And that's why it also made sense for us to take the education and the awareness to that other level of, you've seen our kids in your establishment, you've been very accommodating already. Now let's help you give you the 101 on autism and how you can, have a better understanding. And some of those kids now end up being employees there. That's how it all kind of goes together and dovetails together in a cohesive community effort.
Samuel, I noticed when your mom told that story of you in the supermarket, you got a little embarrassed, but
yeah,
not
embarrassed, just kind of had a little chuckle. I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago.
It was a long.
It really was. I remember it though.
But it reminds me to thank you and the moms here in Jackson for the honesty and coming forward. It's just lovely. Saville, I want to ask you a quick question about the Spam Museum. You're closed right now due to our pandemic and coronavirus. Are you doing anything with the museum during this time? What's happening over there? When's it going to be back?
We've actually reached out to another group in our community that needed our assistance, which is the seniors of Austin. We have Spam ambassadors who are actually out on buses right now delivering meals to seniors, and it has been an absolutely fantastic partnership with the Senior Center, the United Way, with Hormel Foods, and with area restaurants, as well as the Smart Buses, where we're actually ordering meals from these restaurants across Austin and having them delivered to the Spam Museum. We repackage them there and then get on buses with some of the Spam ambassadors and deliver them door to door to the seniors' homes so that they're not having to go out and buy food and Monday through able to make sure that they're getting at least one nutritious meal and are able to stay in their homes and not have to deal with any food insecurity issues. So it's really been another opportunity where we're able to ask, what does our community need, and to be able to jump out and help. So it's been fantastic to be able to be a part of that.
So I'm curious, what's next? Austin has come so far, it's become nationally known for its inclusion in this area. What's next on the horizon for the whole movement here, and what do you want other people to know?
I just want them to know that without being a museum, museums really have become community spaces across the nation. And to be able to take a museum and to have it be so many things to so many different people has been absolutely huge in becoming a big part of the Austin community. So I would just look to us to continue that effort. You know, it's a constantly changing world, so we just go with the flow, because you never know what's going to be coming next. And so to continue to educate people about SPAM and all the wonderful things that Hormel Foods has been doing.
And same from the perspective of my museum, the Hormel Historic Home. I mean, who would have thought when people contact me and say, you know, we hear you're doing autism programming, and so I have to give them the background, you know, that was the connection originally. But yes, and Holly's presents on that at conferences, museum conferences. There's many things you can do when you're recognized as a hub in your community. You know, you may be a museum by trade, but when you're a reputable hub in the community, especially a community like Austin that has Hormel's backing, there's a ton you can do to improve the quality of life and the appeal of your community to make people want to live there. And autism specifically, we're looking to, you know, again, take it to another level, improve post-secondary education opportunities. We've got a junior college here in Riverland Community College here in Austin, where Hormel provides scholarships for all graduating seniors in the community. And we want to be able to have a program that supports students with autism so that they can be successful when they receive their scholarship and that opportunity to be educated at Riverland. And jobs. You've seen how successful Samuel's been with the support that he's gotten, and he's just one example. There's a young employee that I know works at Quick Trip. My daughter works at Taco John's, and it's all because of that community embracing of these kids and their needs and wanting to improve their inclusion and the diversity of our community.
And it's just a reminder that we're really out there to help one another. And we are museums, we're such a part of the community, as is the Hormel Historic Home, that opportunity arises and we're able to jump in and feed those needs, if it's with seniors, or if it's with students with autism.
Right.
That's a really awesome piece to our puzzle.
Hey Brian, I'm curious. You know, I saw in the Jackson video that the Spam Man somehow found his way to the birthday party. How did you help arrange for that?
That's an excellent question, Scott. When we received this note, I can remember a couple of us sitting together and talking about how could we recognize Jackson in the right way. And it just so happened that myself and a number of my family were heading down through Jackson's hometown that summer for a family vacation. And I said, looking at the folks around the table, I said, what if I just stop in and we just make it a point to say hello and thank Jackson for being a super fan? And I enlisted the help of one of the cousins that was going along for the trip to put the costume on and be able to walk in the door. And it was great to see Jackson's face light up when he saw Spammy, the mascot, show up in his house and be able to see this thing that he knows and loves so very well and have it be a part of his day and his celebration. And I can just say that I think there's been a lot of discussion about family. So for us and for me and for our family, it was great to get this opportunity to do this, to meet another family that is now connected to our brand, our company, the people that behind the scenes helped to put this together and work to develop such a great video. And it really does come through when you look at it, because what it does, whether it's whichever video you're talking about, it really helps to tell the story about who each of the people are that are included.
Tiffany, we've talked a lot about Austin. Is it in your community? Do you find movement towards acceptance and understanding, and are there programs available? Are you seeing the same thing there that we've been talking about in Austin?
Unfortunately, no. I think Mary needs to come here for a while. There are some resources, but I haven't seen anything compared to Austin.
I think that might be part of the future for Austin, is to become that example for how to do this, how to combine these forces from the local businesses to local nonprofits, to school counselors, to physical spaces that are available for the community. All of it is sort of woven together in a web that's really remarkable. Sarah, do you have any thoughts about the future and what we need to do next in terms of this journey that we're all on?
Well, I really enjoyed Jackson's story, and I saw a lot of parallels there. And it really does start with one parent loving their child within an inch of your life at a time. And I want to just encourage you on, because it is a mother's love, and then it starts into two mothers' loves, and then it starts to a community, and you band together. Because when Samuel was born almost 20 years ago, and as you saw from the video, I'm out in an isolated land, out in a very, very tiny rural community, and I felt alone. And as Mary said, I came first before her, and I felt much, maybe like you, very alone, venturing out in a small community. And in my community, there were no services. So I had to go to the next small town, to Austin. And unlike Mary or many of my friends, my husband didn't work for Hormel. So I had to make my own network. And it starts one mother at a time, next to another mother. And I don't know in your town what company you have. And Mary has done a fantastic job, and we have, as mothers, banded together to find our community. And Hormel has been outstanding and tremendous, and so much so that I had to finally come work for Hormel at the Spam Museum, because I was so overwhelmed at the company they were and what they do for our community. And yes, I think they should build a model in your community, just like we have here for our autism friendly, because that's what we need across the United States with our autism numbers the way they are. But it starts one person at a time, making a community just the way that we have here. And there are lots of Marys out there, I believe. Mary is amazing, but there's not enough Mary to go around, as I'm sure Mary's family already knows. And it's hard. And oftentimes I get maybe accused of being a little too enthusiastic at the museum. Sometimes I'm nicknamed a Tigger, and my bounce can be too bouncy. And I'm probably thinking, as an autism mother, you have to have a little Tigger in you to keep going, because it is a difficult journey. And I know from your story you have another son, and I have other children too. And it takes a lot of energy for this, as you say, disability. And as Steve and I would talk, I always told Samuel, it's not a disability, it's your superpower. And you'll get to a place in life where people will appreciate your superpower. And that's what I loved about Steve. He recognized Samuel's ability. And I said, it's not a disability, it's a superpower. And with it comes other areas of your computer brain that don't always link up. Right. So don't give up, mother, don't. It is tough. It is a tough road you've been given. And I don't stand before you today to say, I don't have days where I go under my cover and I cry. It's a hard road, but you've been given this road because you're special. You must be, because from your story, I know you have difficulty, but you must be extra special, as Mary is. I don't feel I am. And when my story was told, I felt humbled that I wasn't so special, because I know there's lots of other women out there, parents, that have this road, because I know what the numbers are. Right. They're too high, and it's a big task. But I know your little Jackson loves his Spam, and I'm proud and glad to be in your Spam camp, because Samuel loves his Spam. And if you take that energy of what of what he loves and focus it onto that, you'll do well, and I can tell you already are. So band together with people just like you, if you can find them, start a blog, start a group, and we will partner together however we can. Zoom, because that's what I've learned through this.
Right.
Through all the crisis, you learn that you are strong, stronger than you ever think you were. And you're going to be just fine.
Thank you, Sarah. Did we lose Samuel? I was going to ask him real quick. Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, my connection was pretty poor, so I'm sorry about that.
As you know, Samuel's going to be 20, and I try to give him his own independence because he doesn't want his mother telling him what to do, and I want him to be independent.
Samuel, what do you miss about, you haven't been able to work at the SPAM Museum for a little bit. What do you miss, and what are you looking forward to getting back to?
What I'm looking forward to is getting back there.
We need our people.
We need our peoples. That's correct.
Yeah. Mary, any last thoughts for what comes next, or what else you'd like to people know?
I just want to thank the Austin community in general for embracing this whole movement and the ability to collaborate among businesses, the SPAM Museum, the public schools, the United Way, the Hormel Foundation, Life.
Everyone's been so generous.
Yeah, I mean, it's unique, and the idea of replicating it is an ideal, but there's so many factors that come into having it be successful, and we're fortunate that it has, and I only see the future being even brighter for all of us.
Scott, any last questions, or would you like to move on to our special announcement?
I just want to thank everyone for your participation today, and certainly all the things that you do to support the communities that you're in. We appreciate the SPAM ambassadorship that everybody has. We do have a special announcement to make today. So in honor of these inspiring stories and to help raise awareness for autism, Hormel Foods is donating $5,000 to the nonprofit Autism Speaks. It's an organization that is dedicated to promoting solutions for the needs of individuals with autism and their families. The organization focuses on advocacy and support, increasing understanding, the acceptance of people with autism, all the stuff that you guys just said was so important for it to advance as a cause throughout communities. And then advancing research into cause and better interventions and autism spectrum disorder. Again, all the stuff that is so important for us to make sure that everyone feels included and welcome in anywhere that they might go. And so if anyone that's listening would like to donate as well, you can go to their website, which is autismspeaks.org. And I do have, I think, if I can get technology to work, a note from that group. And they said, thank you so much to Hormel for the generous donation and to the City of Austin for your efforts in creating an inclusive community. Your support will make a meaningful impact on the lives of so many today, tomorrow, and well into the future. We're so grateful from all of us at the Autism Speaks. We say thank you. So again, we appreciate all of the work that's gone into this. We cherish the stories that you've told. And as Ethan said, the honesty and the genuine nature in which you were able to tell those stories so that people could hear all of the great things that have been accomplished and all of the great things that are yet to come. So thank you again for letting Hormel and the SPAM brand family participate in your journey.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you for all you've done.
I hope I get to hear more of those ads for Autism Speaks.
I hope you find me another t-shirt.
Oh, we have plenty.
We have plenty. I'll probably find you one if I can find an extra one.
And good
All
luck,
right,
Jackson.
well,
I know you're going to do great.
So with that, I'd like to thank everyone that joined us today. Hope to see you soon in Austin, Minnesota when the museum opens up, and join us there. And then don't forget, tomorrow we have another film, Cooperation Beyond Words. So make sure you're here and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Okay.
Yeah.